what of them did, a lot of them I disagree with what they've done. But the main thing is, I've learned what works and what doesn't. And I've got to apply that. It's got to be applied. And basically, our main job is to seek justice. And that's what I intend to do. I think there needs to be a presence in the community from a solicitor. I think the solicitor needs to be in court more. I think instead of managing all the time, I think the solicitor does need to get in there and try some cases. And I realize it's a lot of management stuff too. You've got to be able to split the time. I've got 11 years of management experience in Oconee where I've been running that office. I've got experience 13 years in the Anderson office where I prosecuted for 13 years. So I know both halves of the circuit. And to me, it's a two-county circuit. You've got to know both counties to be effective. And I'm the only one sitting up here to do the job from day one. I'm the only one that's prosecuted over a decade in both counties. And like I say, I'll go back to what I said before, the ultimate role of the solicitor is to make sure justice is sought on every case and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law and be fair.
Thank you. Mr. Burr.
This breaks my heart to have to agree with Mr. Campbell, but I think restoring confidence in the office is by far the paramount thing that we need to do. Mr. Wagner's comments is that people see him on the campaign trail all the time. I agree with that. I see him all the time. I assumed he had a job and worked for a paycheck. That would shadow my confidence. If I was a citizen and I saw another Reverend White who's working, why is he out campaigning all the time? The main job, once we restore confidence, is to try cases and win cases. Not to just do guilty plea after guilty plea, dropping charges down. We need to get a trial case, hard work trial case. Prosecutors are paid a lot of money by my standards. They should be out earning that money rather than just cutting deals and letting people slip all the time. I think it is also extremely important that we treat the victims with some dignity. I do have people that are victims and family members talking to me, telling me horror stories of how they've been treated, just because they didn't agree with pleading some deal down tonight. Everybody, my family members. There's two Filipino men in the back corner. Those are my grandsons, 15 years old, born and raised right here in Anderson. I have a vested interest in helping clean this up, get the drugs off the street, and get the criminals in jail, and not let them sit there for 3 or 4 years to go to trial on something you could try in 6 months. There's no reason. The example I just gave you, there's 2 guys sitting in jail for 2.5 years. They had the eyewitness, the victim is dead now, but she was alive for 40 months. They had both of their confessions. They had the gun that did the killing, that old forensic. Why does it take 2.5 years to bring somebody into the courtroom and let them plead guilty? Probably took less than 30 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. What is your conviction rate or success rate in prosecuting trials? We'll start with Mr. Wagner.
I would say it's high, honestly. I don't know. I don't keep track of that stuff. I've had an office to manage for the last 11 years. I've done that effectively. We run court effectively. It's rare when we get a visiting judge, the judge doesn't thank me for a week of court. It was run well, said we're always organized and ready to go. Prosecution rate, I don't know. I've tried more cases than everybody, and I would guess I have convicted more than anybody else too, just by virtue of the numbers. And I don't necessarily keep track of the conviction rate. I think that's misleading. If you point to me to a prosecutor that's got a great conviction rate, you might say, well, that guy might be a good prosecutor. Or you might say, what I would say is that they're cherry-picking the cases and they're trying the easy ones with the confessions and stuff like that. They're not trying the tough cases. I can think of one I did in Anderson, in Oconee County a few years back, where all my witnesses were drug dealers and thugs. Mr. Burr's office was one of the ones that defended those, and they laughed at me for trying the case. But the guy was a danger to the community. I tried him for armed robbery and burglary. He got 20, 25 years. I don't remember exactly. It's the tough cases like that that can skew your stats a little bit. But the people that won't try the tough cases are the ones I worry about, because there's a lot of cases that need to be tried. There's a lot of officers in here too, and the ones that won't try the tough cases, then shame on them, So conviction rate needs misleading, and I don't, to be honest with you, didn't know if you wrote the question. I just don't think that's a good question because I don't think it's really correct.
Fair enough. Mr. Burr?
If you guys would ask me how old I am, I could tell you today's my birthday, and I'm 36 years old. To prove that, I can say I was born on May 26, 1980. And if you don't think that through and look back and see if I was really born in 1980, you might be misled. I've heard the same thing from Mr. Wagner. I filed a FOIA request. They went back 10 years and got every case that's been tried in Oconee County. So far, Mr. Wagner has tried 23 cases in 10 years, lost 8 of them. He's been associated with 4 murders. One, he was assistant to a Miss Mindy Hervey back in 2006. He got a conviction. He tried one in March 2011, not guilty. He tried one in March. June 2012, Moll's case, not guilty. He tried one in July 2012, not guilty. I have copies of these made. I'm going to lay them on that table. You pick it up and look. You can also verify my birthday. I was not born in 1980.
Mr. Wagner, would you like to about that?
Yeah, see, that's again, you want to cherry pick cases that you tried. The fact that I tried some and lost them means they weren't that good cases, but I was willing to try them. And his number of 23, that may be what their stats show. There's a lot of other ones that I sat in on and did half the case, 2 or 3 of us, and also it would be quite a bit more than that. What he won't tell you too is the fact that I have tried more cases in Oconee County than anybody else in the last 11 years. And before that, the 13 that I was here and the year I was in Greenville, I tried almost as much, if not more, than most everybody else. Probably the only exception to that would have been Drew Ann White. Drew Ann wasn't afraid to try a case either. I worked for her. So, yeah, I mean, whatever the public defender says,
Thank you. The question is to you, Mr. Campbell.
Thank you. Thanks. Well, I started out in Hampton County, and one of the things that Solicitor Randolph Murray told us is you do not worry about conviction rates. Your job is to try cases. And most of the cases you try are going to be in a gray area. Not everything is a slam dunk. And so you have to put forth that effort. And that effort also builds trust from the citizens. It builds confidence in our system. When I was down in Hampton, I can't tell you how many cases I tried. It was numerous because I traveled the circuit. I was in a courtroom every week. We covered Allendale, Jasper, Collier, and Hampton counties. So we went to court every week. Now, since being in Anderson, I do know how many cases I've tried because I keep stats. And the reason I keep stats is that you have to know when your case gets appealed by the defense, and it goes to the PCR, and it was 3 years ago, so you can remember what goes on. And since I've been in Anderson County, I've had picked juries in 39 cases. And of those, 33 actually went to a verdict. 2 of those were not guilty. But what it comes down to is effort. It's trying to do the job and doing the job well. And going to court is what we do. That's what, if you don't like going to trial, then you shouldn't be in this job. So conviction rates, as Mr. Wagner says, can be misleading because there's a lot of variables that go into it. But the thing is, I will try and I will go after it. And that's what it shows. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll work on the audio just 1 second. Let's pause for just a minute.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Wagner, would you quickly do a mic test? Just test. Mr. Burr, would you test yours?
Test.
And Mr. Campbell.
Closer.
Okay. Mr. Campbell, test your mic. Thank you very much. All right, Mr. Burr, we'll start with you on this next question. We have heard some staff have left due to some policies and positions of the current administration. Compare and contrast your potential administration to the current administration.
As I tried to make a point earlier, I think we would try a lot more cases my staff would have to work a lot harder, be there on time, get the job done, win cases. That's the prosecutor's job, is to be there and get it done. This thing of having people sit in jail for years, I said, hold on, you can't, nothing's absolute. I'm not saying everything will be always case first. We've had term after term, where one case is on the docket, that case falls apart, they send the judge and the jury home. If that happened with my assistants, they'd be unemployed. As long as the judge is there and willing to work, my office better have something lined up and ready to do. There's no excuse for wasting court time. That's how I got involved in this stuff. All the deputies that work in the courtroom, I stand in the back and complain and whine, and they came to me and said, put your money where your mouth is. If you think you can organize it and do better, give it a shot. I finally got fed up and said, I can do it. I can schedule stuff. I can organize it. I will use that court time. I'll move the cases. I'll cut that caseload back, and I'll get the jail population way down.
Thank you. Mr. Wagner, we'll come to you.
Would you ask it one more time?
Sure. We have heard some staff have left due to some policies and positions of the current administration. Compare and contrast your potential administration to the current administration.
I think you're probably referring to the Anderson office. I don't know, because the staff in Oconee is not left. Well, we've got pretty much the same staff that we've had for a long time, and I know it's two county circuits, so I'm gonna address Oconee again, because the people I have working for me in Oconee, they're good prosecutors, they work hard, court does run well, despite, what some are saying here. We try a lot of cases, we've got a lot of cases to move, we're busy. The sheriff's office is very happy with us. As far as the Anderson office, I can't really address that. I can't really address why people have left, whether they've been unhappy with the solicitor or not. I don't know. Just what the question that you addressed in